And so
you hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head, and you can't say that no better, man. I mean, but we also, when we use it, we have to be telling the truth. A lot of people may not agree with me, but I don't teach my children that we were slaves. Because a slave does not have to be guarded by dogs and beat. A slave, the original slaves were servants. They didn't run. We were prisoners of war.
A lot of people
were
take that.
So we were prisoners. Let's just say that first and foremost. And then we were later released.
What you got to say?
I don't stay with that slave thing because we have never been enslaved.
You giving him the
I'm just saying right on.
all right, because I'm different.
And that's how we get our money. By letting them say, okay, when you illegally imprison me, then I get a check. But see, that's why we've been fighting over the slave thing. If we say y'all illegally imprisoned us, give me my check.
Well, I'm saying that just like on the reparations issue, there have been quite a few intellectuals. Slavery versus we prisoners of war. That's why I'm saying that. And
Well, what he's saying is absolutely true because nobody volunteered to get on a ship to come here.
Right.
Like Brother Ossco said, nobody said, y'all take care of all this. I'm gonna be gone on vacation for 2 weeks. When I come back, I want y'all to have all these baskets full. That never happened. It was like Dr. Clark had said that slavery was warfare. It was not only warfare on the bodies, but on the culture of African people. And if you look at places that, and all over the Caribbean, we uprise, and in America against it. But that is the information that we need to teach. Because it lets us know what our capacity, capabilities are. As long as you take in your mind that you're inferior, subservient, then you're already defeated. Okay, so yeah, I agree with Ossco. We started teaching our folks, oh yeah, we were slaves, and somebody named Abraham Lincoln freed us. That is so far-fetched from the truth. We freed ourselves, and in the process of freeing ourselves, we helped them save the Union. But it was over with if we hadn't gotten involved in it. So my point, going back to what Ossco said, this really is about what it is that we teach ourselves. And the point is, us not teaching ourselves is absolutely economically functional for America to remain in the dominant economic position that it's in. In other words, there's an economic benefit to us being ignorant of who we are. There's an economic benefit for us shooting up our communities the way we do because we're not a threat. And what makes you a threat is if you get control of your own culture and economy. That makes you a threat. If you don't believe me, just look at every place in the world, particularly in Africa, or even America, where any of our leaders have tried to get control of the local resources, they became a threat, and they were victims of coups and assassination. You think that's an accident?
hold it. You
It
think
happened right here in the United States.
hold it. Let me say this to you, and I think I'm coming to you on this, and I think I've said this to you. I'm nobody, but I fear for my life trying to unite Kansas City and put a platform together. Next thing you know, they be like, where's Mr. Nelson? Oh, you didn't see he was in a car accident? Oh, or he had a heart attack? Because that's the scenario that I see.
Well, but there's two things to that. There's two sides of this. If we try to stay consistent with the culture that we've been fed, then our goal is to live as long as you possibly can with as much money you can put in your pocket. We'll never win with that. We got to understand that one thing I guarantee, all of us are going to die.
Nobody's getting out alive.
That's right. So the issue is not whether or not you live or die. What is it that you contributed? How did you help move your people forward? And because of that, as long as they put the fear of death on us as being more important, then we've already defeated. I mean, can you imagine signing people up for the army and saying everybody that want to die, come on and join the army? Who's going to join? People have to have a mission greater than themselves. And as long as we individualize ourselves, and then we're afraid to die, which means we're afraid to stand up, which means we're afraid to make a contribution. We say, oh, Dr. King got shot, he got killed, I don't want to stand up for black people. Then you're already defeated. So the other part of that is understanding all of us are going to die, even if we don't do nothing but lay down on the floor. What did you live for, and what was the purpose? And at some point, we all are going to stand in front of our ancestors. They're going to ask us, well, what did you do with this 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years you had? Well, I watched a lot of TV, I played a lot of ball. Right. Then you wasted your entire life. Who did you help? Who did you help? How did you move our people forward? Don't come up here and complain about how bad things are, because some of us will give a report on how bad it is in our community. No, what did you do to solve the problem? What did you do to make it better? And that is the cultural orientation that we need to have. I tell you what, they had that cultural orientation in Haiti, and that's why the Haitians threw off the British, threw off the French, and threw off the Spanish, and stood where no one ever invaded the island for 114 years. Okay?
And now,
Don't get the whisper. We
Hold-
get
hold-
recorded. You
No,
know?
hold on, but let me say this. On that, and that's why the Europeans, Haiti's in the situation that they're in today, because it's like they can never forget that they did not get colonized the way everybody else did, to a degree.
They took the arrows in the chest for the rest
Boy, did they take the arrow.
But they created the environment where the rest of us could liberate ourselves. All of us every day should send money to Haiti to thank them on a regular basis for what they've done. They stood up, they took those arrows in the chest. They defeated all the major European powers. And if they had not done that, right now today, all of us would be rushing out here back to the plantation, because it would not have ended without them taking that step. What do we owe them? Do we owe them to say, oh, okay, my greatest goal in life is to fit in corporate America?
Do you even think that you talked about those PhDs? Because see, my theory is the people that really can help us, that look like us, is our middle class, but they have been indoctrinated and programmed not to do the things they need to do in their community.
If this was a 2-hour show, I would talk more about that.
No, let's talk about it, because I would
yeah.
Let's go.
How do we start deprogramming?
Again, you can't this is me.
That's what I want to jump in on right
You
there.
can't deprogram unless you have a program that is giving useful information. When our first program, and I think I spoke to someone that's off camera, Aaron, when I said earlier today, I said our first program on using this new equipment and what have you, when you really explained what after the Civil War, from an economic standpoint, that we had all these skills and what have you. So let's talk. You say 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah,
But let me throw this in there real quick, Ajamu. It's something that you spoke on, and you kicked it off when you talked about death.
All right.
Okay, but let's talk about what immortality is. Because the reason you can't kill me is because I've embedded myself in 4,000 young people in Kansas City and over 60,000 across the country through leadership development, and they all got a piece of me, which they've been passing on and passing on and passing on. And every time I hit the streets and I here's a dude who's in the 8th grade, he's 30 years old now, saying, hey, honey, hey, Mr. Ossco, this is my wife, this is my son. Baby, the only reason we married because of what he taught me. I wouldn't be married today. I would have been out here having 5 baby mamas instead of a wife. So I'm gonna be here. You can't get rid of me now. I'm embedded in tens of thousands of people. So immortality is if you're the type of elder to just keep it to yourself. Because I had many tell me this. I said, man, teach me what you know. Oh no. So when you die, what you have go with you. You've ended your deal. But until if you embed yourself into our youth, they're gonna embed themselves into their children, and they're gonna pass it on. So you are immortal. That's how you become immortal. So death doesn't concern Brother Ossco, because you're not gonna kill 60,000 of the people that I've touched. And then how many have they touched? See what I mean? So you done messed up. Now there ain't no fear factor worrying about whether I'm gonna die or not. It's how am I gonna continue to move the needle? And then if death come, let it come. But you know I'm one of them lions that you're not gonna just tie me up and be in the trunk.
Tenesha, you ever said 2 words?
I'm taking it all in. I'm listening.
But I'm saying, what do you have to say on touch on some of the things?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I see the problem. I've heard the problem. I want to know, how do we move forward? You know what it is. How do we move to the next level? Because there's just no such thing as just completely wiping us completely out. We do have to learn how to work together, and capital was my answer to your original question, but it does have a lot to do relationships. When you're talking about, some of us can't even talk to each other in a respectable manner. So how do we move forward? What is it? And I can only speak for me. I try to treat others the way I want them to treat me. That's the golden rule, right? But what happens when we have people that, just not feeling that deal? how do we move forward? I can't tell police a grown folk.
Well, those of us who have like minds first have to unite, and that's where the great divide is, because each of us usually have a sucker in between of us.
And no matter how much we sit at the table, how often, I need to see some progress in this.
But first, I think what has to happen first, especially with our young people, they need to see a unified front. And I've heard that word a lot, with Brother Ajamu. Until we show a unified front of solidarity, that they know I got your back, trust me, I've been doing this a long time. I had brothers that you wouldn't be nothing, everything about you would be nothing, everything but a woman. But because of my boys understand how I move, they automatically respect. Change your conversation when you see a woman walk by, pull your pants on when you see a woman. Now when she leaves, go back to what you was doing, that's fine. Don't disrespect children. But when you have that type of leadership in your community, the community doesn't get behind it because Brother Ossco don't come with the formal PhD. And see, our issues is just like Brother Ajamu said. We keep bringing the same people in. They come in with the PhDs, because I cringe every time I hear mental health or trauma sensitive. That means now you don't want to pay me. And these folks who know how to write the grants go get it, and then they want to pay me $2 an hour to stop these brothers from killing each other. No, you're not going to do that. I know how to control those things. Get out of my way. Martin Luther King would never have been successful if all them people wouldn't have got behind him. All them churches, they got behind him when he was 23, 24 years old. Why aren't we doing the same here and showing that unified front? But don't try to be the leader if you're not willing to have your head chopped off for the people. And this is part of the problem. We got people that we're calling leaders based on their education and based on who voted them into office. That don't make you a leader. A natural leader thinks about the whole, not just about the outlook of who they are and worried about themselves. So we got to understand, we have not had natural leaders in position in a long time. We've had appointed leaders. You got a few natural born leaders that are pastors, but for the most part, a lot of people have been appointed by man, and they don't care about the whole. You can watch how people move, watch them. Everything about that person is going to be self-centered and just for the few in their circle. But when you have a natural leader, he or she is going to think about the whole. Nah, wait a minute, is that good for the children? Hold on, we can't do that because then you mess up Miss such and such neighborhood.
Let me interrupt you for a minute.
And I'm just talking about solution.
All right, hold on. I'm going to ask each one of y'all this. Let's go down the line. Where do you see the new leadership with Mayor Quentin Lucas, with Brandon Ellington, with Melissa Robinson? That's fundamentally who is representing the African American community, and what's the name in the 5th district?
Lee Barnes.
Lee Barnes. How do you feel that? Do you feel there's going to be a change in the way we approach some of the problems that we're having in the 5th and the 3rd district? Do you think that they? Well, it's your words. Let's hear it. or is it a joke?
Somebody else want to take that?
No, what you got to say? Everybody has what they have to say on that. You have a viewpoint on those individuals. I have one, and I'm pretty sure.
Who was in city council when you came to Kansas City? When those neighborhoods where you saw them thriving and stuff.
Well, it was Charles Hasley, and that man was a warrior, and he was for the community. It was Doc Holliday. It was Mark Bryant had just gotten into position. It was fundamentally, when I came, it was Bruce Watkins, and let me see who else was a major player in the politics.
So let's just say this. So now who of that caliber has been in position since that time? And let's go back when I was younger, when I started recognizing folks in position in the 90s. Who has been in that situation since, who really has pushed something? Because if you don't have people that push the envelope, then what do you have? And this is not knocking anybody other than saying, do they know how to work the system now? Versus, because we've been having our people in position for a long time.
Right. Now I'm gonna give you this real quick on that. I said this 30 years ago. All them PhDs, and that's what you've been talking about. I'm saying in our community, those people are not connected to the community no more. They've moved out the community. They've taken on other people's value system. And
Moved
so,
out psychologically. They
well,
moved out.
hold it. No, they psycho. First of all, I say you can't work in corporate America unless you assimilate. And our middle class has done one up on assimilation. You can assimilate, but then they've taken on the values of the majority community, and that main value is the dollar, and the dollar supersedes God, the supersedes the family, supersedes everything. Look at the ungodly money that certain individuals have. When you do the Forbes list, the billionaires, how much money can you spend in a lifetime? Some of these people have so much money that you couldn't spend it in 20 lifetimes, and you have all this poverty and all of the things that are going wrong in society. So we've got new leadership in DC. What do they call them? The crew, or the Congress, the women. It's about 4 of them. What do they call them? You know they got a name for them. And that's how I look at, maybe wrongly, Quentin, Ellington, and Robinson, that there's some new blood, and they might take our community in a different direction. And that's what I was saying.
Well, let me ask you a question, Carlos. If I said to you, take out your wallet and put it on the table over there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get all the money out, and then just trust me, I'm going to take care of it. And then I come back and I done bought myself a gold chain, I done bought myself, and you say, well, fella, what you do with the money? I said, well, man, I told you I was going to take care of it. Everything is fine. I'm doing fine. In other words, if I got your money and I don't have your agenda, I'm going to take care of me.
Right.
And don't you be shocked, okay? And so it doesn't matter how many new leaders we get in place. If we haven't developed our agenda for them, don't be shocked if they take the money and do what they plan on doing. Our community is basically putting our wallets on the table and then trusting that everything's going to be all right. You got to send your agenda down there. So here's the question. Barack Obama got elected. He had all of our support and hearts and minds. But what did he get accomplished for whom? The entire gay community agenda got taken care of. Why? Because when he went in, they had an agenda for him to execute. What agenda did we give him? We didn't give him no agenda. So the problem really is with us. It doesn't matter. You can send me down there if you want to. But if I got your agenda, I can make something happen. If I go down there by myself without an agenda, don't be shocked. So what I'm saying is, really, it's time for us to start talking about what is our agenda. And if we had to talk about what our agenda, this is what I'm afraid of. I know you're afraid of this. If we have to talk about what is our agenda, we got to talk about what's important to us. And we don't want to talk about that. Because here's the thing. If we want to talk about what's important to us, then we got to deal with the question of whether or not we have to evaluate, is it important for us to be responsible for providing food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for our own community? Just say if that was our agenda. That means every tax dollar that gets spent got to come back to making sure that our community, that we are providing food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security. That means we'd have to be responsible. That means now I got to be a man. And I'm so used to not being a man and just letting everybody else run my community. Now I got to stand up and be a man. Now I got to be responsible for my children. I'm so used to just sending them off to school and let somebody else take them. Now I got to go there and be responsible. We're afraid to have the conversation of really what it means to be free, to be self-determined. And when you do that, then you have an agenda. But if you don't want to do that, put your wallet on the table and just let them take the money and go off and do what they want to do. Then you can just complain about it, because that's the easy thing to do.
So, boy, no, hold it. What I'm saying, see, I understand that corporate America and money runs politics, but I really was trying to be up on this new group. But what you just did was threw some ice with the water to wake me up to what really is possibly can happen. Do you think that we can put an agenda, and who would you say would be responsible for putting an agenda together for our community that our current politicians can work with?
All of us.
We the people.
But I'm saying that's to me that doesn't have that's like this. And has anyone proposed a plan that we bring some intellectual, some economic people together to figure out this is the plan, this is what our agenda should be, and how do we move forward on that.
Oh yeah. For example, Tavis Smiley, you all remember that in the early 2000s, he had a group, they would meet every year, they talk about the plan for the agenda
Right.
for Black America, they had that. They put something out there. And I'm proud of anybody that would just put something out there for us to discuss. So they put something out there. The Nation of Islam had a plan that they put out that came after the Million Man March. They put
Right.
a plan out there, an agenda out there. The Congressional Black Caucus sometimes put an agenda out there, but it's basically an agenda that, for more of the same, support the Democratic
Right.
Party, that kind of foolishness. But when it comes down to whoever you would identify as a sister or brother in this community that has integrity, all right, that has a track record of working for this community, call everybody to a meeting and say, we got to figure out an agenda. If the agenda just, again, my place, to make it basic, real simple, the agenda should just boil out as how do we provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for our community? Just how? How do we do that? And that means, we don't have to take over the school. We got to take over education in our community, because if we let somebody else put another agenda in our children, they're going to come out of the street, they're going to hate each other. We're going to deal with that. We're going to take care of security. We just can't let folks run up in our community and do what they want to do. We got to have some kind of cultural restraints. I mean, we start talking about how to put that together, then we can make some serious progress. Then, if you want me to go down, or if you want anyone you know to go down and represent you, that's what they go down there with in City Hall. That's what they go down to Jeff City with. That's what they go to Washington with. And based on how successful you are delivering on those services, that determines the kind of leader they are. So that's what I would say. Anybody that has integrity and a track record for working for our folk, that's who you want to be. They qualify to sit at the table.
Tanesha, I want to hear a little more from you on your thoughts in general.
Well, as far as here in Kansas City, I can just only be hopeful. I am an African American, but I am not a descendant of this particular community. And honestly, the community has not really accepted or embraced me
Or your
for the
business?
time, or my business for the time that I've been here. So,
How do you see that? I'm saying, and why do you see that?
well, because that's what I have been presented with. I mean,
Because
these
I
are the
met you.
facts.
When did I meet you?
Well, you are a little bit different, Carlos.
He
It
is.
just, it
They
is.
tell me
you
I'm
you are a little bit different,
And he's not a native either. That's
Right.
and so
I've
I
been
don't-
here since '78, Ossco. What you talking about?
But you're not though, and a lot of people look at that as me taking a
Right.
shot towards Kansas City, and it's
Right.
not a shot. But the relationships that Ajamu talked about, I don't have those. My mom didn't know your mom across the road, and I can't get a call from Pastor so and such and them because I didn't go to school with you guys. So there's a distance. I have been distant, just with and I know a lot of people. I do. I know a lot of Kansas Cityans, from the ex-mayor to this current mayor, all the way down to school teachers and whatnot. But I asked about where do we go? What's the process? What's the next steps? Because I do share the same skin tones, so therefore I get some of the same treatments. Just because I'm not from here does not mean that I don't go through some of the same things when it comes to being an African American, trying to run a small business, being a woman business owner, trying to run a small business. I just have a few extra hurdles because I'm not from this particular net group.
You find Kansas City cliquish?
Very, very, and that's just because I'm from someplace else.
So am I.
I can only build. Oh
I'm
wow!
from here.
You
And
from
you're
here.
from
It's
here.
cliquish.
it's cliquish.
Okay.
Everybody guard a little something with it, even if it's not much.
But that goes back to what Ajamu was saying about being connected in a community way, not in these clique ways. We can't move forward, to me, until we have about 20,000 people going to a place to get information, to find out this is what the agenda is. And with, again, I'm going back to Cascade Media Group and What's Up Kansas City. If we had 20,000 people going to What's Up Kansas City at least 3 times a week on the materials, the assorted materials that we put out, I think it would educate people to a whole lot of different subject matter that they would find interesting, informative, that will change how they're thinking about certain things and possibly bring some of that closeness together, because now what you're doing, you can call in and say, this is what I'm doing, and he'll know what you, go ahead.
But hold on, because that's just the part of me not being from here. But then you also have to deal with the issue of a lot of us do what we call don't talk about it, be about it. I can tell you I'm gonna do 1,000,001 things, and if I show no action towards getting anything done, then what?
Well, that's when I've said that they have, when you have taken on the majority's values, because the community that our roots come from, even the civil rights movement, if you're not riding the bus, I'm not riding the bus. The mentality now
And we
is
don't have that.
that
Yeah.
I got cab money, I got Rolls Royce
Color
money, and I
Uber.
don't care whether you walking.
Right.
It has nothing to do with color. And that all comes from being programmed. And as I said in the first show that we did, you know that show was 8 months ago, Ajamu, with Bussy? We understand we have to watch our mouth on the plantation. When you're working for corporate America, you really got to watch yourself. If you're working for the school board, you really got to watch yourself. If you work in the city hall, you say the wrong thing, you find yourself without a job. And most of the time it's the wrong thing when you start talking about promoting positive things in your community and what needs to be done and who the villain is. They don't want to hear that. And so they have us in self-check. And I'm trying to see.
You got to check your caliber though, and here's the thing about these folks who are causing havoc and what we call order out of chaos. They know they can check your caliber before they attack you. They know if they got to bring an elephant gun, you ain't gonna bring an elephant gun and shoot a rabbit with it because you ain't gonna have nothing to eat. You're not gonna bring a 22 to an elephant. So the way they come at you determines your caliber. They like, nah, we gotta bring something big for this one because this is not the same. And there's two people in this country that are gonna be hard to touch, because one sits by the heart. I got a partner that got shot. He got a bullet so close to the heart, doctor said leave it there because it's too risky. And the one, I got a partner, the bullet sit by his spinal cord. They said don't touch it. People like Oprah and Farrakhan. One is a bullet that sits by the spinal cord. You touch that one, you can cripple this country. The other one sits by the heart because all the women love her. But what it should say to you, sister, is this. You don't try to build something on the backs of people of color. It won't work. You have to have counterparts. You have to have connections with every group, because we can't just survive off. You got to look at manhood and womanhood. And in that white community, there are real men there that have come and taught me so much throughout my years. I can't take that back. So you won't never see me just talking about, oh, the black got to do this and the black. I don't do that. Men got to do this. Women got to do that.
Well, I'm on a different page. Let me get you straight.
Hold
let me tell you.
It's my experience.
I'm on it. Hold it. Yeah, but I'm saying I'm on a different page because when I'm even interviewing the majority community and this and that, and they be like, why you be going so hard? I be like, y'all got 1 million TV stations, 1 million cable, you got 1 million newspapers, you got 1 million publications telling your story. And as soon as I started to try to talk about me, is diversity. It's enough diversity in them other people's programs. I'm only concerned.
That's not what I meant.
All right.
I'm talking about that. Though.
All right. Well, I'm just making that clear.
I'm talking about partnerships and clientele, whatever that may look like.
Well, we want to work.
Expanding your dollars is reaching out for that capital that we're talking about.
Let me say this. We want to reach out and we want to do business. In our first show, Ajamu really explained how economics worked in our community, and you have a base in your community, and you work from that base to do business with the people outside your community, majority community or whoever. But what I am saying is that our platform, I'm only concerned with how to solve my problems. They got think tanks, they got a million different things solving all of their problems, and they got about a dozen think tanks to say, how do we keep the poor people, not just the black people, in that box?
But see, and that's one of our issues as people. See, because I'm a younger generation, so when you got here, I was just a little bitty dude. But don't think that I don't understand and see things beyond. Because sometimes we can have such an old thinking that we can't move forward as a people because we got so much oomph in us. And I'm saying, I've been through all that though. I've been there and done all that. What I'm saying, we got to be open-minded to understand that for whatever reason the universe put us all in this little continent, no matter how we got here. And if you don't understand and open your eyes and ears to listen and see what else is out there, because Tech 9 do you got a copy of Tech 9 CD? Do you got a copy of Tech 9 CD? Do you got a copy of his CD? Why is he still worth $20 million though? I can go through the whole hood and knock on every other door. They don't have a copy of his music.
You know why he's worth 20?
But that's you're missing the point. He don't need us to be worth 20 million. You don't need us to build $1 million business. But what he did not do, because he didn't see us support him, he doesn't build anything back in the community. Michael Jordan did the same thing. He's so busy, so thankful to the dude, his coach and all that he don't even understand the role. He should play with his own people.
And you know what?
That's part of the issue.
We were just
that's
talking
what I'm talking
about this the other day. When I can speak to Michael Jordan, I grew up in the '92 Bulls. I'm from Chicago. Okay, so the original first set of Jordans. My daughter had on a pair of Jordans right now, but those aren't the original sets. The original sets was he was playing in North Carolina, and they were light blue and white. Come on now.
Didn't know that.
You know, my thing is we were just talking about this because I heard that he gave like $200,000 to the hurricane survivors to the Bahamas.
I thought it was $2 million.
Maybe it was $2 million.
It was $1 million. Okay. I seen it today.
It was a 2 something, but he gave. Michael Jordan has never given anything. Now I saw the old United Center. When I was born in '74, it was the old Coliseum, the old United Center. They tore it down and rebuilt it because of the amount of money that he brought through there. Everything, it's in the hood. Everything that's around is completely dilapidated. You'll see him come through there. We back in the day, so just hold tight.
Yeah,
you didn't see him come through there giving up no Jordans, but yet every time Jordan shoes came out, the lines was around out the store and around the corner.
Marketing.
You know? Marketing or whatnot, or maybe it was just the fact that black folks has a taste.
It wasn't no marketing
because wait a minute, British Knights marketed the same way Nike marketed. Why did we gravitate towards Nike and not British Knights?
Let me say
or
this:
Reebok,
Popeye's chicken, and I found myself yesterday leaving here trying to go get one of them chicken sandwiches. Look at the Ajamu. Pitiful. I'm just pitiful. It got up there on Patrice, and they was like, no chicken sandwiches, we'll let you know when they come back.
I left that dead animal alone almost 20 years ago. But she's
exactly
right, because I've been up there. Chicago's my second home. And I remember the first time going up there in '92, and they was talking so bad about the man. I'm like, what? And like, we down here loving him. I get up there and they talking bad about him. I'm like,
well, you love what he did on the court, but when it
comes
But
we thought his personality matched the court, though.
No,
that's what I mean.
No. When it comes to, bringing something back to the community, it didn't happen. There's no centers. Well, they got a statue outside of outside the United Center, but there's no Boys and Girls Clubs. There's no centers. And that's not, is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. You do what you want to do with your money. That's understandable. But then this community that supports you, when they just thought that you was just a kid that couldn't play baseball, that wasn't never going to be able to play basketball, but these people stood out in the cold or make sure that the basketball game got the ratings in order to watch you play this game. That's the support. No, they didn't take you out for the $25 steaks. They didn't help you. Matter of fact, even when he opened the restaurant downtown in a place that most folks like me couldn't eat at. Not because we were not allowed in there, but at this point we just couldn't eat there because we couldn't eat there.
They was talking about that when I got up there. They said, man, he got that restaurant. He don't give out no sandwiches to us and none. I said, but it's what I'm saying to you is that wherever the credit is given, that's why they don't mind. They'll give him $1 billion because they know he's not going to help build nothing for his own. And that's what my thing is. So but he utilized that. Tech Nine utilized that. And every time them people help one of us come up, all we do is say, "Ooh, look at our people coming up," but they don't come back and do nothing for the community. They don't. Tech Nine should have a center in Kansas City that's about arts.
I agree.
Jordan should have all kind of stations and stuff set up. We got enough money in our communities that we could build our own NBA. We can have a National Black Basketball Association.
That's what I liked
take it all
about.
over.
That's
You know
what I
I'm
liked
saying?
about the 3-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that was really going to work, but obviously he was able to get the majority community buy-in, and it now is trying to work. You know, but you got to go to the people with the money.
But they also had a model too that was laid out before them. I mean, let's
What was
not
that?
forget about the Negro League. When there was a problem, when people did not want to allow us in, you can always just say, okay, oh well, I guess we don't get to do that, or you can go and create your own. But at the beginning of the create your own, where we need to try and figure out how to make my little business help my little business work, we have to have, like Ajamu said, an agenda. We have to have a set of progresses of how we gonna progress to get to this place. What we gonna do? We can sit around and talk about it all day, but then there has to be some action sooner rather than later as to how we gonna get there.
All right, we're gonna wind this up. All right, people, it was a pleasure. And as we always end all of our shows, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Thank you.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.